there, welcome to the Teeny Tinkers channel. I make ball jointed doll and craft related content. Today is my third edition in the interview with the artist series, and today's artist is Isabel from Glowmoon Dolls.
Hi.
Can you tell me a bit about yourself and your dolls?
Yeah, my name is Isabel. I think you already introduced that, but I make ball jointed dolls and resin, and I'm actually currently working on a vinyl doll, which we can talk about too, because that's a totally different process. I used to work for like many years, I worked at Funko until very recently, and then I decided to kind of go off and do my own thing and kind of focus on dolls and freelance full time. So yeah.
We know about Booty. We've seen Booty. We love Booty. Can you tell us about her, and can you tell us about your newer dolls?
Oh yeah. Well, I actually do, because I was trying to figure out kind of the new size of outfits for Mustard Seed and her sisters. So with Boney, she's she's a 1/4 scale, and I guess I wanted to make a curvy doll with articulation that kind of went along with anatomy, and I wanted to kind of go in a little bit blind, because I was coming from action figures and kind of more vinyl world, and I had collected BJDs, but I really wanted to kind of see what I could do on my own. And I've since then, I've learned a ton from my own articulation, and then seeing things that are so incredible, like the Clementine Lily that I just got, and Bimong, that are my Bimong array is mind blowing. So since then, I've gotten inspired by their incredible articulation styles. But my first doll, I really wanted to kind of go in and see what I could do without trying to be influenced at all. My next series, I think one of the things that kind of I was missing with Boney is that she couldn't really bring her knees up. I love that pose that Bimong Nare can get, where she's kind of holding her knees. So with my current doll, I kind of experimented with trying to get her to be able to kind of hug her knees. Sorry, her hair's a little messy because we've been undressing and stuff, but this is her.
So cute.
She's a more androgynous, kind of younger figure. She's about 12 inches instead of 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do kind of more of a Blythe-esque proportion. It's not quite, her head isn't quite as large and her body isn't quite as small, but kind of merging those two worlds that I love so much with dolls. And
she's so cool. One thing I gotta say about your dolls, they don't look like other dolls in such a good way. There's no same face syndrome happening.
Thank you.
I know it can be so hard, especially when you're sculpting, to not look at other references and feel like you're copying somebody. And I don't think anybody could look at anything you've done and be like, that looks like this. Not in the slightest, which is amazing.
That means so much, because I try super hard to kind of really focus on developing my own voice and kind of really focusing on that. And so that really does mean a ton. I love it when people are inspired by other doll makers. I think it's awesome. And I'm obviously inspired by all the work that I've been collecting and the people that are online doing incredible things. The other thing that I've been trying to kind of bring in is my passion for the vinyl collectible world. I collect Hot Toys and Sideshow, and coming from Funko and that kind of stuff, trying to kind of come at it from an American collectibles perspective in a way. We influence each other all the time. It's just kind of looking and being inspired by that, instead of just other dolls, trying to bring in kind of my whole world. So if that makes sense.
Totally. So you kind of touched on Funko Pops and sculpting. So that kind of answers kind of how you got started with sculpting, but let's go before that. What happened before you started working on toys? What was your intro to sculpting? Because for a lot of doll artists, their first ball-jointed doll is their intro to sculpting, or at least an iteration, but that's not the case here.
It's kind of funny. So in undergrad, I was always an oil painter or a photographer for a really long time. That was my kind of media of choice. I got really into conceptual art when I was in my 20s, and I was doing film stuff. I've always been so in love with toys, but that's sort of always been on the side. And I ended up going back to school. I went to graduate school. I quit my jobs and went back to graduate school to do game design, because I'm in Seattle, and it seemed okay, if I want to be an artist and I want to be working, Game design is the way to go. Per my usual behavior, I got into game design school and remembered, oh yeah, I don't really like video games. Like I love watching them. I love looking at them, but I'm really bad at them and like not really engaged. But toys, I'm like a total nerd and it's like my passion and my hobby. So they didn't have this part of the program at the time. And now they've actually developed a little more of it in my graduate program, I think because I was such a like wrecking ball going through, but they have like a 3D printing aspect of the graduate program now. So that's when I started working in ZBrush for the first time. Then after I graduated, I still didn't really consider myself a sculptor, but my thesis was on making myself like a 16-inch action figure doll. So it was like, it wasn't a ball jointed doll. She wasn't strung with elastic. She had mechanical joints. And I got really interested in kind of trying to incorporate articulation into the anatomy and have things work with how our bodies really move. So going from there, that's when I got hired at Funko and get into a job. That's when you really learn. Like I was in graduate school for like 2.5 years or whatever, and I got to be like a okay sculptor. But then at Funko, I had so many amazing people around me that I would just like, I would watch and see when somebody was like, had a moment and I'd be like, hey, Phil, like, you got a moment? I really benefited a lot from the knowledge of other people that were really, really incredible. So it really boosted my skills like really quickly.
That's such a fun, I mean, hard. Like there's a lot of steps there, but like what an interesting journey. Like just from like painting and stuff, because like, and like to sculpting and like, that's so different. That's such a big jump. And like learning ZBrush and stuff. I've opened ZBrush.
I'm still like tip of the iceberg with this program, but I mean, it's just an incredible thing to work in.
Let me just make a circle. Like, let me just try and make a circle. Okay, let's bend the circle. Okay, that was enough for one day.
One of the things that I also do is I create my own, now that I'm not a Funko, we had base meshes there, but I actually create my own bases to work on. So when I'm doing a figure, like a female figure, I have like a base to start on that I've created instead of having to start from scratch every time, because it does take a while, you know?
So I had mentioned before, and you've kind of touched on it now too, you make a lot of dolls with unique shapes.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of answered this, but can you tell me more about like how you stylize?
Well, with Bodhi in particular, like what I wanted to see, that now you see it kind of everywhere, so it's a little bit like, okay, well, but like when I started sculpting her, I didn't see that many curvy dolls. And that's kind of like, I end up gravitating, I think, a lot towards shapes that like are like kind of like me and kind of like that, you know? So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to see in the world. And so I decided to like make it. What do I want to buy? What do I want to like see? And what can I create next? Yeah, I'm excited about these. I'm calling them like the Queen Mab line. So that's Mustard Seed's the first sister, and they all use the same body, but they have different face plates, and they're the 4 fairies from Midsummer Night's Dream. So Mustard Seed, Peace Blossom, Moth, and Cobweb. They have little pointy ears too. So you can see they have little pointy ears. I just wanted kind of like a little impish, like Goonies for girls is kind of my vibe that I'm trying to kind of like.
As soon as you said like the Shakespearean names, I'm like, oh, I can see it. Something like Victorian fairy about her, you know what I mean?
Exactly, that's exactly what I want, so I'm really happy.
That's so.
My mom's been making these little clothes for them, so she has like this little apron with like a bee print and like little birds.
Oh, I love that. So when you were making Mustard Seed and Bodhi,
what do you wish somebody had told you before you made your first doll? Make a name that is easy for people to kind of pronounce, because I would get people coming up to like, I've done a couple conventions before COVID, and they'd be like really timid and didn't want to offend me, and it's like, you know.
I'll say Bodhi because when I was telling my daughter, she was asking what I was like meeting I was coming into, and I told her I was going to interview the girl who made Booty, and she was like, Booty?
I know. Did you name her Booty because she has a booty? And I was like, Mom, like, but that is the response that I get a lot. I changed my name because I wanted to make people feel less like nervous, like coming up to me and being like, hey, like waiting for me to fill in the blank.
Yeah. is there anything else you wish they told you? And also, did you run into any snags or issues like that could be like learning experiences for others?
Yeah, so I got really, really lucky, and I have a friend who helped me with a lot of the things that might have been snags. Like, so I was already a sculptor, and then articulation, I have my own 3D printer, so prototyping, that was okay. The doll, you know, I'm really proud of how she came out, and my caster is amazing, and so the quality is like just fabulous. So I felt really good about putting my money into that, and you know, I did some things really right, I think, because I was so new on the scene and because my design was so different. I just saved my pennies basically for a long time and invested in buying my in-stock dolls. But the biggest snags that I ran into were definitely packaging related. Like, I'm not a packaging artist, and I have a really good friend who's like a really amazing packaging artist at Funko, and we're still really close, and she helps me a lot. My first boxes were so big, and so now I'm making new packaging, and I'm communicating with factories in China as opposed to doing other kinds of packaging. And I ended up buying my packaging twice because it didn't print right, and it was a pain. My advice, I guess, is if you love a doll package or box or like opening experience, like take notes on that, just like, what does it feel like? And my goal as an artist is to create an experience. I think we're all trying to capture that like first Barbie moment, when you open the box.
We're all trying to recreate like Christmas as children, like that excitement.
Yes. It's about the artistry, and it's about the experience you have on the website. So like I've definitely, thanks to you, I've improved my website. So like, just the little things. There are certain things with your first doll that are not going to go right, and that's okay. Like, budget for that. Like, I definitely like went over budget, and I was like, okay, like take a deep breath and like take from my savings. But it's worth it because it's like, ultimately it's kind of a cheap lesson, right? Like,
so you say you're creating an experience, which yes, part of that experience, I guess, is how people react to pictures and socials, and that's all part of the experience. So what do you think people like most about like your social media presence and how you're kind of marketing and sharing Bodhi and Mustard Seed and all the Glowmoon dolls with the internet?
You're definitely like touching on like probably my weakest area is marketing and Instagram. Like, I struggle so much. I'm trying always to get better. I actually have a really good friend who works at Sideshow who helps me with my hashtags. Like, I'm getting better at photography, like getting better at showing off my dolls. I got really, really lucky in the beginning when I was just kind of messing around, and I had a couple really, really sweet customers who just took a leap of faith. Because I was putting something out there that was pretty different. And I've definitely gotten some like BJD confessions about me that were like not good. And I'm like, it's when people respond even negatively, I felt like I'm doing something right.
Right.
It's so different that like people are noticing even if they don't like it. But yeah, responses to social media and images is like always kind of a blind, like, I hope this works.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's so funny. I think I've mentioned it. I think I said it in the Resonate podcast one time. That's like, I'm still waiting for my drama on BJD Confessions. I'm like, where's my drama? Who's mad? Like, I'm always just waiting for it.
I did feel a little bit like I made it the first time somebody was like, Bodhi's so ugly or something like that. And I was like, yes, like, and I'm really lucky again that I have really, really supportive, amazing people that I've become friends with because they were customers first, or like some people that I like met through the doll world, and then they decided to buy my doll, and then they get her and their experience with her, even if maybe like I have some friends that I was like, why are you buying my doll? Like, you don't have to, like, just because we're friends, but they would get her and they were so positive about like the way that she posed, and she's really stable and she can stand really well. And her shape, especially her legs, turned out, I think, are my favorite. And so I try to feature that on my Instagram because I think that photographs really well, even though it's a little bit like girl objectifying girl. But
so Mustard Seed is going up for sale soon. Can we get some details?
Yeah. So right now I'm working on getting all my boxes ready. So she'll be in stock as soon as I get my boxes. I'm getting custom cases. Mustard Seed, I kind of wanted to make sure it was something kind of elevated from my previous packaging. So yeah, I found these cases, and it's been a great experience to kind of get outside of the cardboard box for me. We all keep the boxes, and so just like having it be something that's like functional too is really appealing to me. So anyway, that's a really, really long, rambly way of saying that I'm working on the cases, and they are going to be probably sent to me by next month. Her like in-stock dolls should be also being shipped to me by my caster. She told me June, so I have to actually email her and be like, ETA on that. But then I'm getting samples of the other 3 sisters at the same time, and samples for the new faceplates so that I can really show people what they're going to look like. It's like a ton coming in this summer. So I'm hoping that July is like, it.
How many like in stock mustard seeds do you think, and what do you think is the price point?
So for her, I'm doing 500, because Bodhi's also going to be, up to 500 when I'm going to have a few in stock.
Okay. Eventually. I thought you meant you were casting 500 of them.
Sorry.
Not about the price.
50 mustard seeds cast in different colors. I got a whole bunch of different, I accidentally pinned for a couple extra random colors, and my caster was like, just a reminder, you have mixing fees if you have fewer than 5. And I was like, all right, fine. So some of those will be probably special. I'll do like a full set for maybe some of those, or like conventions. Once we start doing conventions, I might do little collections. So in stock, I'm thinking like maybe 30 or something. Maybe 50. Don't worry, I'm not insane.
I was picturing your whole workspace.
I know, that gave me a heart attack too, just to like...
Oh my God. Think of the photos.
The photos. I mean, my husband would kill me because we'd fill up the whole basement with, you get these boxes from China, and they're like, the first time I got like my boxes with all the Bodhies, it was 2 different boxes, and I just kind of like plunged my hand into it like a kid in a ball pit, because it's like, I made this, and it's resin, and it's cool, and like, oh my gosh.
So we've talked about a lot that's about to happen, and again, I think you've answered my question ahead, because I was going to ask you what's next, but I mean, I think that covers the next.
Yeah, that's kind of the next year of my life. I don't think I've talked too much about, after Bodhi pre-order gets sent out, and after the mustard seed in stock, I'll have the next sister kind of announced, maybe do a pre-order, maybe an in stock. I haven't decided. And then I'm working on developing like the next doll, so who will be another 1/4, and I'm kind of excited. Like, I'm looking a lot at like Misty Copeland. Like, she's so beautiful and muscular, but like really elegant. She's the prima ballerina, but she has like a like really beautiful body. Sorry, Missy, I'm like totally objectifying you, but like,
no, from an aesthetics.
Yeah, but I'm excited about her. I started sculpting her because it takes me a while to like kind of, I'll sculpt it, I'll sit with it, and I'll sculpt a little more, and then I'll sit with it. Yeah, I guess the other thing I mentioned briefly, Room, my vinyl doll will come out eventually. The journey with the factory has been really incredible and very long. I get this question. I've got this question a few times about people wanting to do vinyl, and it's a whole other ball game. Mostly because of the mold costs, and I got really lucky, and I'm doing it with a partner, because the mold costs are drastically different, but the material costs are way lower than resin. So resin, like per doll costs are like that, and then vinyl per doll costs are like that, but you have to make a bunch to make it go down, right? Because the molds are like crazy. They're oftentimes like metal, so they're, and now I've kind of launched into this realm where I'm doing a lot of it on my own or with these partners that I have on the vinyl doll, or in the case of my packaging, I'm directly chatting with, my girl, at this factory. Like she's, it's hard to describe because it is hard, and it's not my strong suit to do every aspect. I'm not like amazing at everything, but it does give you a certain sense of completing your design from beginning to finish.
I had no idea about the vinyl molds or anything too. Like
I wouldn't be able to do it without, this sort of partnership that I have with Bottleneck Gallery. The other thing that I talked a lot about with my friends at Bottleneck is when we were starting this project, I was like, I love vinyl dolls from artists and I want to make one that's affordable. So that's my real goal with this one, is to make her super approachable and affordable. Hopefully bringing some BJD people over to vinyl and maybe the other way around. And
yeah, very cool concept. I see vinyl dolls all the time, but it's like, oh, I don't know what that doll is. Which ones are collectible? Like for somebody who has no idea what's going on, like that would be a great gateway for somebody like me. Be like, oh, that's the one. Yeah. Like, there you go.
I hope that's how it works, because it is like a big world out there of dolls. Like, and I think people feel that way when they're getting into resin dolls. They're like, whoa, where do I start?
You're making it really hard to end an interview.
I'm sorry.
No, in such a good way.
Anybody can always reach out. I try to help, if somebody reaches out, I'm if somebody's serious about making a doll, I'm around, I'm online, and sometimes I'm a little busy, but I always love when people are wanting their idea to come to life.
So, speaking of, if they can reach out to you, where can we go to learn more or to reach out to you?
Instagram is IAMIBO, IAMIBO. I have glowmoondoll.com, and that's where my store is. And then if you want to email me, I have, I think I have email forms where you can contact me through glowmoondoll.com, but I also have my portfolio website, which is isabelanderson.com.
So thank you so much for taking time to come and talk with us today. Well, me, but like...
Thank you so much for asking. I feel like, like I'm just bumbling off in the universe doing this thing, and it's amazing. And I've met the most awesome people through this. Like, it's changed my life. Well, like meeting you was so awesome. Like, it was so magical, like we're like online, we're kind of in the same groups, and then suddenly we start chatting and it's like, oh, you're awesome. Like,
yeah, I mean, same. Cool. So, I mean, about you though, not about me. Meeting me, I know. I'm so cool. Again, thank you for coming. I know. But this has been a really lovely interview, and it's been so much fun to talk to you and get to know you and your dolls and your art better. I mean, feel free to come back anytime.
Oh my gosh.
If you're already subscribed to my channel, thanks so much for subscribing. And if you're new here, I hope you like the content and will consider subscribing. I post twice a week on Sundays and on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so don't miss out. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.
Goodbye.